This is Fountain Pendulum.
So this is my Pilot Falcon, and it was the first nice fountain pen that I ever bought. I wasn't quite taken with the appearance of it. It was mostly the nib that I was interested in. So here is the Falcon nib, and it's a soft fine. Now, I've had this nib modified to have additional flex and into a cursive italic. I have a video on the nib customization that you can watch. But what I want to address today is that I really love this nib. It has some sentimentality in that it was my first nice fountain pen. I like the softness that was modified, the cursive italic. But not only do I not find this pen model aesthetically appealing, other than the fact that I love the clip, I find it uncomfortable. It's very fine. It doesn't fit my, I find it very thin, is what I was trying to say. The grip section is very narrow. And I just don't find it comfortable or pleasing to write with. And so I feel like it diminishes my writing experience with this nib to have a pen body that doesn't complement the writing experience. So what my plan was to be able to rehome this nib into another pen body. And thanks to custom Ebonite housings from Flexible Nib Factory, this is now possible. So I wanted to do this process together. Now, the process would be similar on a different pen, but also different because of the model types. So let's go ahead and start this process. Now, what we'll do first is remove the converter. In this case, it's a Con 40, or whatever it is that you have back here. If it's a ink cartridge or anything else, just remove that, because this will be attached to that inside piece of the feed, and so you're going to have resistance trying to remove the nib if that is attached. So unattach it, and then just to have something more to hang on to, we can put this back on. I would definitely recommend using a rubber grip. Now, what we want to do, I'm going to show you with my hand, because you can do it with your hand, but I would recommend using this. But what we're going to do, this is a friction fit nib. So we need to hold the nib and the feed below, like so. Like this. See how we're not touching anywhere, ideally, from the breather hole down to the tines. Also, I forgot to mention, you should remove the cartridge or the converter, but also your pen should be clean. So remove the ink, ideally. Okay, so this is the type of gripping that you want to do so that you don't damage your nib and tines. So I'm going to do that motion, except I'm going to use my grip. So like this, I'm going to fold it over, and I'm going to grip here. Now, here's another technique I learned that I like even better. You wrap the grip around like this, and then you pinch the grip only, not the nib at all, and it comes out. Now, I'll do this again, the other method. And I can do it also without. Now, it's a lot harder with just fingers, and it's easier because I've already done it once. The first time that a nib and a feed is removed, it potentially can be difficult, depending on how new your pen is, how clean your pen is. If you have not been a deep cleaner like I have been, and soaked your nibs when you clean them and things like this, there can be buildup. So what I would recommend is when you go to pool a nib and feed, first of all, it never hurts to soak it. But second of all, if you don't get it the first time and it's difficult, stop. Soak just the nib section in warm, not hot, water with perhaps a little bit of soap, and just leave it for like an hour. Rinse it, dry it, come back, try it again. If that doesn't work, soak it longer, up to a day, whatever it takes. Trust me, the patience is worth the risk of damage. Okay, let's move on. So going back to this, see, it is harder when you just use fingers. I just find this makes so much more sense. It's easier, the risk of damage is greatly eliminated. Okay, so another thing you need to understand is the orientation of how you're... See how this right here has a cutout larger? That is for the nib to fit in. Like this. See that cutout? That's for the nib. That lower circular section, that is for the feed. So then when you go to put the nib and the feed together, it's difficult to see, but there we go. Okay. There is a stop gap where this fits into, and a little bit of a shoulder here too. So pilots designed this very intelligently so that you feel exactly where this fits. Do you see that little ledge? Here and here where the nib fits in. So you can feel the proper alignment of the nib. This is a huge part of the battle. Another thing you want to note as you're doing this process, let me put the nib and feed back together again. Take a picture. See how deeply the nib is seated onto the grip section. We can see that right at the bottom of 921 and this other stamping is where it fits. That's what we're going to try to mimic with the new housing. Okay, I think we've discussed all that. Now, FNF, Flexible Nib Factory, has made a Ebonite housing for this. I've selected the block with the backing so that I can put put a pilot fitting converter or cartridge on the back. Now, the fine print to this is that not all cartridges will fit on the back, if at all, depending on the pen's body. So that's going to be a variable. We'll see how that goes. Now, in my experience, rehousing a nib and feed into an Ebonite or any housing has never been easy. It sounds like so simple, but I've never had an easy process. And I've already tried this and it doesn't fit great, but I want to show you. I want to do this together. So this is the housing that I ordered. It came quickly, well packaged, well shipped. And what we want to take a look is if this looks anything like this one. This is a Bach threading. And like I said, this is going to have the back so that this fits on the Con 40. It would also fit cartridges, pilot made, all that. We're going to take a look at this and all the options and what's going to work for the pen I've selected later. Okay, so remember that this had a cutout for the nib. So there's a very specific orientation you need to put it in. This doesn't. It has 2 slots on either side, but other than that, it's perfectly round. There's no rails inside, indentations, nothing. So I think the best that we can do is align the nib with the feed the way like that. I can feel it, that it fit properly. And then I'm going to put these on the sides. Now, we've read the instructions from Flexible Nib Factory, and there's not a great amount of detail provided. Okay, so I have this even with slots, and I'm just going to push it in. Now, if this was a simple life and world, this would just push it. I push, and this is as far as it gets. And I don't want to break anything. And I don't want to... Okay, it's going a little more now. Using my grip a little bit more now. It looks quite well aligned, I would say. Let's see if we can get it in seated a little deeper, because take a look. We're not where we need to be yet. Okay, let's try a little bit more. That's as deep as I can get it. So to me, that just says that maybe something could have been done better in the design. It shouldn't be this difficult. So how I'm going to proceed is I'm going to try to push this into the table. I'm just going to put a handkerchief down. And, okay, it popped in further. Everything looks like it's aligned properly still. And I think it's not as deep as it should be yet. I'm not sure if it will go further. It looks like it's as far as it goes from there. But what I was going to say is, if we can't get this seated deeper, is Ebonite is a hardened rubber. So we can do kind of what is called a heat set. I would do it probably without these in. So if you're having difficulty getting in, you could do it with these in, but I think without would be even better. Put it in a cup of, I would start with warm, hot-ish water. This allows the ebonite to soften and swell just a little bit, like not a lot, to see if you can get this fitted in deeper. If that doesn't work, try increasing the heat temperature a little bit, or the time. So this was my plan, was to have to heat set it because it felt so tight, but I got it in. I'm quite confident it's all the way in, even though I think it did sit deeper into the original housing. Okay, so like I said, this is a box. So let's try it in a box pen. This is my Keras Vertex in white Delrin with a Coke bottle grip section. Alright, so we're going to do the same thing. We're going to unscrew the back. We're going to take the converter out. We're going to unthread the Bach nib. And I'm going to set these aside together. Now I'm going to twist this in to the Bach section, and it fits beautifully. Look at that. I'm so excited. Okay, this is the tricky part. The tricky part is what fits inside of this grip section and inside of this body. Now, ideally what I wanted to do was demonstrate all the options for Pilot's cartridge and converter options. Unfortunately, I did order a Con 70 and it arrived cracked, so I can't demonstrate that. I ordered a Con 50 and they sent me a Con 40 instead. So what I have is the Con 40 that was originally in my Pilot Falcon, and I got some cartridges for us to try. So we'll see how that goes. The other option, just to put it out there, is they did, Flexible Nib Factory did have a different type of housing that didn't have the seated piece for the cartridge or converter to fit onto. This would be for eyedroppering. So it would thread in and have access to the feeds right there. I think the lighting was off, otherwise you'd be able to see them. There you go. Without this extra piece. Now, depending on what kind of pen you're planning on putting it into, like for example, this Vertex by Karis, it can be eyedroppered. It has O-rings, there's no metal parts, everything tightens securely. However, one, I'm not interested in eyedroppering a volume this large, and two, I'm not interested in dealing with the potential staining of my white Delrin internally with eyedroppering. So we're not going down that route. That's why I ordered the one with the piece for the cartridge or converter. So let's see if this fits. This is the Con 40. I'm putting it in. It feels really tight. Okay, it doesn't. Did it reach? It only reached what looks like to be halfway. And there's the risk of cracking something. So I'm taking that out. That didn't fit. This also doesn't fit well. Okay, so what the issue is doesn't even lie with the back end fitting with the Con 40, this, or I don't think the Con 70 would fit back there, honestly. I think it's too big to fit the small pen. But it's rather the actual housing. So, you don't know until you try, but if I wanted this pilot nib to fit in this Vertex, the only option now I know would be to get the Flexible Nib Factory housing that does not have this extra back part to fit a cartridge converter. It would have to be the one for eyedroppering, and I'd have to be willing to do that, and I'm not. But let's try another pen. Okay, another Bach option. Let's see what we have. Okay, talking about Bach options. The Vertex, we're not sure about the fit. Okay, next I have this Peniter. This is a Bach. I could unthread this Bach Peniter nib, but it's a piston filler. So this is another circumstance where I would have to order the Flexible Nib Factory without that back piece for the cartridge converter. I thought about ordering it both, and I didn't. Probably should have. Okay, so the only other option we can actually try is my stipula. This is Bach fitted, and it's a cartridge converter. So let's try this out. Okay, here we go. Similar process. This looks pretty narrow, so let's even. Oh, that looks like it would fit. Try the Con 40. Yeah, that might fit. Okay, let's try it. So I'll gently... Uh-oh, this is a little tight. Okay, using my grip, I was able to get it. Otherwise, I would soak it in water until it came out with ease. It's always the go-to. You don't want to force anything. Put that together. Okay. So now we'll unthread it from the vertex. We'll thread it into the stipula. And when you're threading these things in and out, you always want to do them nice and taut, but not tight. Okay, that definitely feels like it fits. Definitely feels secure. And this fits on the box, so doing the cartridge option isn't even necessary. However, myself and many others have a great dislike of the Cont 40, and so I think this would fit also. Yep, fits very nicely. So every pen make is different. This is why we need to try it out, see what works. I'm tempted to try the Vertex because even though it's super tight, it feels like it's reaching all the way. I'm not 100% sure, but I really wasn't envisioning having my pilot nib on my stipula. Just my mind wasn't really going there. So I'm not sure how I feel about that. What do you think? The nib might look a little small. Is it actually smaller though? Then yeah, it's definitely smaller. So it does look a little funny. Maybe it would have looked funny in the Vertex also. Okay, let's try writing with it. See how everything flows. So I guess this is interesting. We'll put stipula Etruria. Then we'll put pilot Falcon nib, soft, fine, 14 karat. Now I told you this was modified, and it was to a cursive italic added flex. It already feels so much more comfortable. The only thing is like the angle has changed because of the girth, so I'm gonna see if that affects my writing experience at all as I move forward. But I think so far it's fine. Ink is Goff von Fiber Castell. See there, my angle was different, and so I cut the paper. Cognac brown. It's gonna take some adjustment. I've had that pen for 3 years, so just getting used to it in a different body is gonna be interesting. So here, Very nice. It'll take some adjustment, for sure. I'm going to think about getting the other housing that you can eyedropper with. That would enable me to put it in the peniter. I really don't think I want to eyedropper in the vertex. I'm disappointed it doesn't fit. I'm going to see if I can get my hands on a Con 50, see if that changes the situation. It's a disappointment, but I'm glad that I was able to do this project and that at least it fits in my stipula. I think that'll be really fun. So what do you think? What do you think of this whole project and this whole process? And what do you think of this nib and this pen body? That's all for this one. I'll thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.
It's all up to you now.